All right, on to our top story this hour. Wheelchair tennis player Madhu Bhagri was not allowed to board a SpiceJet flight at Tirupati. Not just that, she alleges that she had also been insulted by the officials. The para-athlete was supposed to travel from Tirupati to Hyderabad, from where she had a connecting flight to Ahmedabad. Now, the para-athlete alleges that she was asked by the SpiceJet officials to crawl for her seat and find it as the aisle was too small for her wheelchair to fit in.
When I came to the airport, the SpiceJet took me to the aircraft, and then they, since the aircraft, it was a small aircraft, they took me inside. Then the passage was so narrow where the wheelchair, the aisle wheelchair could not move in. They asked me to walk, crawl, or do anything and reach to that seat. I said it's not possible as I can't stand. But you please allow me because I have a connecting flight to Ahmedabad, from Hyderabad. So please allow me to travel and let me sit over here. They did not. They picked up the aisle wheelchair wherein my head was touching the roof and I was almost at the verge of falling down as I lost balance. Still, despite of explaining everything, they were not ready to understand. The officials were misbehaving. The porters, the crew attendants were literally pushing the chair here and there, and finally they threw me out with my baggage to the arrivals, unattended.
Joining me on the phone line is Paul, reporting from Hyderabad. Paul, thanks so much for joining in. Tell us what exactly the details of this are. Absolute apathy from the airline.
Well, absolutely, Avni. In fact, time and again we are seeing incidents wherein our para-athletes are being insulted, are being pushed, are being abused by airline officials, and they're being taken for granted. In fact, they are all people who are actually making the country proud by doing well in their respective fields. In this case, it was Madhu Bhagri, who is a lawn tennis player. She's a para-athlete. In fact, she used a unicycle, a hand cycle, I beg your pardon, to cycle all the way from Hyderabad to Tirupati as part of the Infinity ride. And it was while she was returning back to Hyderabad this morning. The flight was scheduled to take off at 8:25 a.m. She was at the Tirupati airport. She was well in time. She got everything checked, security check done. She got a boarding pass. She was heading to the flight on a wheelchair that belonged to the SpiceJet. And that is when she realized it was a very small flight and the wheelchair was not actually fitting through the door, I'm being told, of the aircraft. And they asked her to, in fact, crawl, walk, or do whatever you want and go to your seat because the wheelchair was not entering the door. In fact, she then went on to request for a front row seat, wherein she was denied. She was denied because the airline says that she is a para-athlete, she is handicapped, and she will not be able to sit on the emergency door, which is located on the first row. And that is why she was not given a seat on the first row, even after she requested them for it. After which she says she was asked to deboard the flight. She says the exact words that she told me when she spoke to me was she was insulted, she was shoved, she almost fell off the wheelchair, and she told me almost in tears that it was a nightmare of an experience for her. And immediately after she was deboarded, she came down to the terminal. She demanded that the terminal manager actually met her. She, in fact, took a paper and noted down the whole experience that she went through. And she, in fact, the visuals that you are seeing on your screen are videos that she herself clicked and sent it across to me. She has filed a complaint with the terminal manager at the Tirupati airport.
All right. Thanks, Paul, for taking us through all those details. In fact, joining me on the phone line is Madhu Bhagri. Thank you very much, Madhu, for taking the time and speaking to Mirror Now. We just heard our reporter narrate the harrowing ordeal that you had to go through. Extremely unfortunate. But tell us what was the reaction of the staff, of the SpiceJet staff?
They were just not ready to understand. They were feeling that I am trying to lie them. I can actually walk down, but it is just that I don't want to walk. I told them it's not a pleasure to sit on a wheelchair. Live one day a life on a wheelchair, and you will come to really know what difficulties you go through, how many adjustments you have to make with your own self and with the surroundings to be on a wheelchair. But they were just that I was not cooperating. How would I cooperate? I can't stand. I cannot put my foot down also. How would they expect me just, to walk down till the third row? They could have easily given me, and they just don't understand. Just a person sitting on the wheelchair might have a lot of balancing issues. They don't have proper strapping. Their wheelchairs are in such a horrible state that any time it can break or anything can happen to them. Still, they just expect that, okay, you keep your hands folded and we'll get you in. How should I keep my hands folded? If I keep my hands folded, my legs won't be in my control. I have to hold my leg. I have to be, holding the rod of the chair so that I can have some stability. But they no, you just, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen means if I fall down, the way they lifted me in between that passage where my head was touching the roof, and there was like I was tilting in the front and about to fall. If I would have fallen and there would have happened something to me, who would have been responsible?
When you raised objections and at the way they were dealing with this situation, what was the airline's response?
It was a horrible response. No, you do whatever you want to do. You have to deboard. We will not allow you to fly.
Madhu, when you've traveled in the past, what has the experience been like?
See, I traveled extensively, but this kind of an experience I have never faced. Yes, small if and but, small issues keep happening with airlines, sometimes with the with the staff and sometimes with something or the other. But nobody has till date. I have traveled so many times sitting on the emergency door, wherein it was sometimes very difficult to even get into the, back rows or something. But then they adjust, they understand the difficulty and they actually exchange the seats and make you sit on that. It's not the first time I'm traveling. Right. And I have traveled in past sitting on the emergency exits.
All right, Madhu.
This is for the first time there was, yeah.
Yes. No, I'm also being joined on the phone line by Deepa Malik, who's also faced a similar situation. Thanks very much, Deepa, for taking the time and talking to us. We were just talking to Madhu Bhagri about her the experience that she had. Can you take us through what your experience was?
I very recently traveled. Well, SpiceJet is not one of my favorite airlines for the same reason, because there is a lack of sensitization when it comes to transfers of people with zero mobility in the lower limbs. There is a lot of misconception there that people using wheelchair can walk some steps, but there are achievers like us who have proved our ability beyond disability and told the world that in spite of not walking, we can do something for the nation, and we can also live a regular life where we earn enough to travel by air, Then why is not the airlines upgrading their wheelchair sensitization programs? Why are they not investing in the right kind of wheelchairs? I was also taken up to the aircraft on a wheelchair with, firstly, the aircrafts don't have a ramp, so we have to be carried, hand carried on the wheelchair. Then the wheelchairs are not like you just heard the lady that they don't have the correct kind of strap to hold our legs. If we are trying to balance our legs, we can't get the grip to hold the body. I am chest below paralyzed. I don't have a torso balance. So it is and I get spasms. So my legs get into a spasm and that can cause disbalance to the body, which means we need proper straps at the correct places. Like the leg belt is very important, otherwise legs keep falling off the foot pedal.
Right.
And other than that, just day before yesterday, on 11th of August, when I was flying from Pune to Kochi in SpiceJet, their chairs do not take you right till the seat, because they are broader than the aisle distance in the aircraft. Even the aircraft, there may be different type of aircraft, but then there are different type of aisle chairs also available as per the width of the aisle in a particular aircraft.
Right.
And same thing happened when, of course, I don't know, I'm a bold person. I speak my mind out and I'm aggressive. When I mean a business, I mean a business. And I can also guide the staff to carry me. I think, but that should not have been the case. There are airlines who are working aggressively and holding sensitization programs. I see a lot of improvement in various other airlines.
Right.
So similarly,
so
I think
Deepa, essentially, the sensitization by the airlines really has to improve, and there needs to be a lot more done. And unfortunate that both of you.
I don't know. We never face these problems when we travel abroad, because there is a centralized special assistance counter. The airlines are supposed to report there as per the person flying. And there's a common section which is where employment is done on the basis of training done by that person on wheelchair transfers.
All right. All right. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Deepa and Madhu, for joining us and taking us through your experience, absolutely harrowing experience.